Just after stepping out of the college entrance examination hall, I was taken by the police into a small dark room for interrogation. The investigators found cheating tools in my clothes. They also arrested the accomplice, who helped with the cheating at a nearby hotel. As soon as the accomplice saw me, he identified me as the buyer. He voluntarily confessed the criminal process and the financial transactions between him and me. The evidence is conclusive, and it has been publicly announced across the entire network. In an instant, I went from being a media-praised genius scholar to a prisoner. My parents sought justice in vain, and ultimately unable to withstand the online violence, tragically died at home. And shortly after receiving the tragic news from my parents, I died of a heart attack. Until the moment I closed my eyes, I still didn't understand. I clearly did nothing wrong. So why did all the evidence point to me cheating? When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the eve of the college entrance examination one. Juan, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and take out your ID to check in. The voice of my best friend, Lin Yaya, rang in my ear. I shuddered violently. At that moment, I was in the lobby of a hotel, and the clock on the front desk wall showed the date. June 6th. Lena nudged me. What are you still standing there for? Your ID. The swaying of my body finally made me realize that I had been reborn in my previous life because the exam venue was too far from home. I was worried about traffic congestion causing accidents on the day of the college entrance examination. So the night before, Lin Yaya and I checked into a hotel less than 100 meters from the exam venue on the last day of the college entrance exam. I was immediately arrested for cheating as soon as I walked out of the exam hall. The person who provided me with the answers was hiding in the room I was staying in. Juan, why are you doling today? The staff are waiting. As she spoke, Linya urgently reached into my bag to get my ID card. I grabbed her hand suddenly. I'm not staying here anymore. Lin Yaya frowned and complained. Juan, how could you be like this? Do you know how much effort I put in to book this hotel? No, you must stay. I looked at Lin Yaya with confusion, somewhat puzzled. She is usually gentle in temperament. Even her voice when speaking to people is soft. So why would she say something so demanding today? I forced a smile. Yaya, you know, I have trouble sleeping in unfamiliar places. I might not be able to sleep all night in a hotel, which could affect my performance on tomorrow's exam. So, I thought about it and decided to go home instead. At worst, I'll just get up earlier tomorrow. I'm really sorry. Ligna covered her mouth and laughed. I was just kidding, and you actually took it seriously. Then you better think carefully. Rooms are really hard to book before the college entrance exam. If you check out now and change your mind later, there won't be any rooms left. I nodded, insisting on going home to stay. Then take a taxi back yourself. I'm going to the room to review first. I watched her get into the elevator and hail the taxi driver to the nearest internet cafe. 2. Everything from my past life happened too quickly, exploding like fireworks, and then vanishing. Why would cheating tools appear on me? Where did the evidence provided by the gunman come from? And who wants to harm me? And why? It all feels like a fog spreading through my mind. I may never uncover the truth in this lifetime, but at least I can avoid this calamity. That means not taking the college entrance exam. So, I can't go home. I had no choice but to go to a 24-hour place where I could stay. And there were surveillance cameras. An internet cafe is the most suitable place. The driver quickly took me to the internet cafe. I paid for 2 consecutive days of computer use. After finding a seat, I continuously watched variety shows and TV dramas. I ate instant noodles from the internet cafe when hungry and took a nap when tired. But as soon as I fell asleep, memories of my past life would surface in my mind, quickly waking me up. This repeated over and over until the afternoon of the 3rd day. I had just closed my eyes. A web pop-up sent a notification. College entrance exam flash. Just now cheating was detected in the examination hall in South City. The suspect has now fled the scene, and the police are making every effort to apprehend them. I had a bad feeling. Just as I was about to click on the notification, my computer suddenly went black with a snap. Complaints filled the internet cafe. Manager, what's going on? Why is the computer screen black? Sorry, everyone. It seems the circuit breaker tripped. I'll go turn it back on right now. Please stay calm. Not long after, the sound of police sirens echoed outside the internet cafe. 3. Several police officers rushed in and surrounded me. They pulled out their badges. Chinzi-1, you sure run fast. In the blink of an eye, you made it to the internet cafe. I asked in confusion, may I ask what you need from me? The police officer said angrily, still pretending to be clueless here. You cheated on the college entrance exam, and we're here to arrest you. For a moment, my mind almost lost the ability to think. I cheated just as I was puzzled. Lin Yaya and my childhood boyfriend, Su Huene, rushed in. Lin Yaya panted heavily as she spoke up for me. Z1 couldn't have cheated. You have to trust her character. Besides, she's already been recommended for admission. Su Huene squeezed through the crowd and stood protectively in front of me. Yes, officer. She really had no reason to take such a risk. Could there be some misunderstanding? A classmate who had followed them over to watch the commotion sneered. How can we just take your word for whether she cheated or not? If that's the case, what do we need the police for exactly? I think you're all in this together. I suggest taking all of them in for questioning. Lin Yaya grew anxious. Ziwen, hurry up and explain. I'm about to die of worry. The noise around me made my mind go blank, seeing that I wasn't saying anything. Lin Yaya's gaze shifted from determined to puzzled. Zwan, you're not actually cheating, are you? Her voice was quiet, but still loud enough for the people nearby to hear. They started whispering and pointing goodness with all the strict checks. These days, there are still people brazenly cheating on the college entrance exam. They really are fearless and reckless. This girl seems to be the top student from my classmate school. I even saw her on their school's high score list. TSK. Turns out it was all fake. Usually, she likes to show off, but she's worried about being exposed during the college entrance exam. So she resorted to cheating at the last minute. I heard her parents are even top-level teachers at the school. If even the teacher's daughter cheats, how can her parents have the face to go on living? They might as well just die. The insults ringing in my ears sent a chill down my spine. But I had been at the internet cafe since last night and never left. How could I possibly be suspected of cheating? My voice trembled involuntarily. Officer, how could I have cheated when I didn't even take the college entrance exam? The officer laughed in disbelief. You claim you didn't take the exam. You won't admit it until you're faced with undeniable proof. Come back to the police station with us, and I'll show you the evidence. For a pair of handcuffs was snapped onto my wrists. I clung desperately to the chair, shouting, I really didn't take the college entrance exam. If you don't believe me, ask the people at the internet cafe. Check the surveillance footage. Still trying to talk your way out of it? Fine. I'll check right now and make you see the truth. The police immediately asked the onlookers around, can any of you testify that she has been here surfing the internet since last night without leaving? I looked at them expectantly, but they all shook their heads. Officer, we came here to play games. Who would pay attention to who's sitting next to us? I just got here. How would I know when she arrived? I have no impression at all. Officer, testifying means going to the police station to register. Right. Please don't make things difficult for us. If my parents find out I snuck out to play games, they'll skin me alive. I grew anxious. If they can't testify, there's still surveillance footage. The network administrator came running over with an apologetic look. Officer, I'm so sorry, but our internet cafe suddenly lost power, and the equipment storing the surveillance footage got damaged, and all the recordings were lost. I stared at her in disbelief. That's impossible. How could it break down so conveniently? I need to go check it myself. She led me to the surveillance console, and the words "disk damaged" stung my eyes painfully. I asked her desperately as if grasping at the last straw. Sister, you registered me last night. Do you remember me? The network administrator nodded, then shook his head. Sorry, I'm face blind, and really can't remember people's faces. At that moment, I felt as if I had been plunged into an icy cave, trembling all over. The network administrator pointed at the little red flower on my clothes. Didn't you just rush in from outside? I can't remember faces, but I remember this red flower on your collar. It's particularly eye-catching. I was extremely agitated. You're lying. I've been sitting right here the whole time. I haven't gone anywhere. The police officer sneered a few times. Qin Zihuan, don't try to argue. This eye-catching little red flower is hiding your cheating tool. As he spoke, he picked up a pair of scissors, cut off the little red flower, tore it open, and sure enough, a small electronic device was hidden inside. My eyes suddenly widened, and I was utterly shocked. In my past life, an identical electronic device had been found in my clothes as well. This moment felt like it was pulling me back into that past life. I cried out in horror. This isn't mine. At the same time, Lin Yaya screamed, Zhuan, isn't that the thing? Su Hujin wore an expression of disappointment and frustration. Zhuan, I really can't believe you would do something like this. Watching their reactions, I felt as if all my strength had drained away in an instant. So you saw me at the exam hall, too? The two of them nodded. I felt my vision go dark with only Su Han's hollow, departing voice echoing in my ears. Swan, your best choice now is to confess and cooperate. Actively admit your mistakes to seek a lighter sentence. Understand, we'll take care of your parents every step of the way, so you can rest assured. 5. When I woke up again, I was already in the interrogation room at the police station. The officers played me the surveillance footage from the examination hall. The footage clearly showed that I rushed into the exam room at the last minute for both days of the test. After finding a seat, I kept tilting my head, even pressing my ear against the little red flower. Each time I did that, I'd start scribbling furiously. Once the invigilator stood beside me for several minutes, but I didn't write a single character until the teacher left. Then I tilted my head again and pressed it against the little red flower. It was hard not to suspect that the person in the scene was cheating. The officers tossed the electronic device onto the table, shouted sternly, Qin Zihuan, this is the tool you used to commit the crime. Right. Confess the truth. I swallowed hard and calmed myself down. I just have one thing to confess. I never stepped into the examination hall at any point today. As for how your video came about, and why I appear in it, I have no idea. I could only insist that I wasn't at the scene. So even if equipment was found in my clothes, it couldn't be used as evidence of a crime. The investigators chuckled. You're quite tight-lipped. Huh. Then take a look at this. He handed over 2 inspection reports. One was the fingerprint test from the exam paper. The other was the saliva test from the mineral water bottle. Regardless of which report, the final conclusion matched me exactly. I stared intently at both reports, trying to find any flaw in them. The next second, the door to the interrogation room opened. Another investigator led a frail-looking man inside. It's her. She's the one who bought me. Officer, I've already confessed voluntarily. Can I be treated leniently? The person in front of me, I had never seen before, nor did I have any connection with him before I could speak. The officer tossed a stack of documents onto the table in front of me. Qin Zihuan, your accomplices have already confessed everything. Here are your chat records and transaction records. Take a good look. My hands trembled as I flipped through the documents which showed detailed WeChat conversations between me and the hitman discussing the time, location, amount, and method of the crime. The last screenshot is a bank transfer record. A bank card under my name transferred out an agreed-upon amount before the exam. My breathing gradually grew heavier. Witnesses, physical evidence, stolen goods. This has already formed a complete chain of evidence. In other words, at this point, it has reached a level where a conviction can be made without me having to explain anything. I kept replaying the entire process in my mind, but I couldn't find any flaws. I was stuck in a dead end again. Was it fate or some grudge from a past life that made someone so determined to nail me to the pillar of shame and drive me to death? The knocking on the door sounded again, and the door opened from the outside. My parents' voices came through the crack of the door. Officers, please let us see June was definitely wronged. My daughter couldn't have done such a thing. If you don't let us see her, the two of us will commit suicide right here. The officer helplessly said, Chinzan, come out for a moment with handcuffs on both hands. I was escorted out of the interrogation room by 2 police officers, one on each side. Yun. From afar, my parents called my name, looking at my mother's disheveled hair, and my father's anxious, reddened eyes. A wave of bitterness washed over my heart. They always said that as educators, a neat and tidy appearance was especially important, so I've always kept myself neat and tidy. It was the first time I saw them in such a pitiful state. They looked at me eagerly with desperate eyes. June, was it you? I shook my head firmly. No. They immediately knelt down upon hearing a single word from me. Officer, there must be some mistake. My daughter couldn't possibly have cheated. June's mock exam scores for her entire senior year have all been above 700 points. Besides, she's already been recommended for admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. The college entrance exam is just a formality. She has no reason to hire someone to cheat for her. Lin Yaya and Su Huene, who were standing behind my parents, also joined in pleading. Officer, please, I beg you to conduct a thorough investigation. We must not ruin the future of a good student. The investigators look troubled. What you're saying might be right, but we need evidence to proceed with the case. Don't we? A commotion erupted outside as a group of people suddenly gathered in the police station's courtyard. They stormed into the lobby filled with indignation. Police officers, we are parents of senior high school students. We heard that there's a cheater in our Nanshare district. So, we've come specifically to demand that you must severely punish her. This is lawless cheating, even on the college entrance exam. How is this fair to our children who have studied hard for 10 years? I strongly demand that parents also be held responsible, all arrested together, and sentenced to death. In just a short while, the insults had escalated to my parents. My parents looked pained, yet they still defended me with all their might. Our June isn't like that. Please believe her. We beg you. Bah! We only trust the police. Your whole family are cheaters. What credibility do you even have? Are people like you even fit to be teachers? You're practically ruining the next generation. I'm going to report you to the Education Bureau later. Such scum parents must be exposed to the entire nation so everyone can curse them to death. I seem to see the pain and helplessness they had endured when attacked by everyone in my past life. Suddenly, a glass bottle was thrown at me. Scum! Cheater! May you die a horrible death! My dad instinctively rushed forward, shielding me with his body. The glass bottle smashed heavily onto his head, instantly, causing blood to gush out. The police only then realized they needed to step in to maintain order. Addressing the still angry parents, they assured, we have now gathered a sufficient chain of evidence. Rest assured, we will soon provide everyone with an explanation. In my previous life, just a few days later, I was imprisoned and publicly denounced nationwide as the evidence chain was completed. My parents were so overwhelmed by an unprecedented wave of online harassment that they dared not leave the house. Eventually, I was set on fire by the mother of a girl who committed suicide by jumping from a building after failing the college entrance exam, and burned to death at home. Upon learning of my parents' tragic deaths, I couldn't catch my breath, and died of a heart attack. Countless scenes from my past life flashed before my eyes. Suddenly, that little red flower froze in my mind. How could I have missed this detail? I shouted desperately. There's a problem with the chain of evidence. I know who framed me. 7. At that moment, it was as if everyone in the hall froze. All their gazes fell upon me. A police officer's voice broke the silence. Who wants to frame you? I said with confidence. The person who framed me is among them. After speaking, I focused my gaze and scrutinized each person present. Some of them avoided eye contact, while others looked defiant. Only my parents had faces full of worry. In my previous life, I was handcuffed as soon as I walked out of the examination hall, and the only time I saw them was in the courtroom. In just 1 month, their eyes were sunken, and they had become so thin they were almost unrecognizable. They held my hand, their eyes firm. June, Mom, and Dad know you're a good kid, and wouldn't resort to the dirty tactics of cheating. Just stay in there, and behave yourself, Mom, and Dad will definitely stand up for you. This trial was broadcast live to the public, visible to the entire nation as soon as my parents spoke. The live stream room erupted. Countless people accused them of having no moral. Bottom line, as people's teachers, even in the face of irrefutable evidence, they still refuse to repent. It is precisely because of parents like them that I, their daughter, have no respect for the law, and trample on the fairness standards of hundreds of thousands of examinees. Thus, a larger wave of online violence swept in. It seemed as if anyone could step forward and slap them a few times, stomp on them a few feet. They were forced to not dare step outside even half a step. A few days later, a mother who had just lost her daughter due to the college entrance exams arrived at my doorstep with a bucket of gasoline and set them on fire, turning them into charred remains. This life, I must prove my innocence and let them live well. I patted their hands and turned to say to the police, "I can't speak now, otherwise I'll be in danger." The scene erupted in murmurs. "I think she's just being deliberately mysterious. Is there any place in the world safer than a police station?" Exactly. This is clearly a deliberate attempt to stall for time. If she had evidence, she would have already presented it. "Officer, the parents of the cheating culprit are right here. Why don't you just lock up the whole family and give them a heavy sentence so they don't go out and mislead others?" Amid the clamor, my mother's face visibly palled, and she collapsed to the ground. My dad glanced at me with concern, then carried my mom out of the police station. I turned and walked toward the interrogation room. Someone shouted behind me, "Cheating on the college entrance exam is unfair to millions of senior high school students. We absolutely cannot tolerate it. I demand by my real name that the cheaters be severely punished." His call was echoed by many, and dozens of parents formed an alliance on the spot, preparing to write a joint petition. The door of the interrogation room closed again. The two investigating officers frowned at me. "Do you have anything to say?" I stated firmly, "The person in the video is not me. How can you prove it?" I pointed at the little red flower in the surveillance footage. "This is my alibi." 8. The two police officers' eyes suddenly lit up. Clearly, they had already seen the truth. "Investigate the surveillance around the internet cafe, and make sure to find that little red flower. Not just a little red flower. There are other masterminds behind this. What do you want us to do then?" I was just about to speak when suddenly a sharp pain shot through my abdomen, and beads of sweat as big as beans rolled down my cheeks. Gasping for air, I said, "Save me." The police rushed me out. Another officer stopped Suhuene and Linyaya, who were surrounded by the crowd. "You're friends of Chinziwan, right? She's having severe abdominal pain, and the police station currently has no one available to take care of her. Could you please come with me to the hospital?" Suhuene hesitated. Linyaya nudged him. "All right, officer. Let's go soon." I was taken to the hospital where the doctor diagnosed me with intestinal colic. After taking medication, I still needed to stay for observation. After all the commotion, it was already past midnight. In the hospital room, Lena held my hand and asked, "Zwan, I absolutely believe you couldn't have cheated. You mentioned at the police station that you knew someone had framed you. Do you know something?" I shook my head. Suhuene patted my head. "Zwan, they say 3 ordinary minds can match one. Juggelyang, tell us what you've discovered, and we'll figure it out together with you." I smiled, judging from the tone of both of you. "You seem certain that I didn't cheat. Do you two know something?" Linyaya felt wronged. "We've been best friends for over a decade. Of course, we trust your character." "Exactly. With your abilities, you could choose any top university in the country. Why would you risk your future like that? What do you doubt us?" Lena said, her eyes filled with tears. "Ziwan, if I doubt me, and Henine, it would truly break our hearts." I closed my eyes and sighed. How could I not feel the same? I once thought we'd be best friends forever, lovers forever. But why must it be you two who hurt me? Suhin jumped up and accused, "Chenzwan, do you even have a conscience ever since you got into trouble? It's been me and Yaya defending you when you were sick. We never left your side to take care of you. We've been so good to you, yet you still suspect us. I think it's not heart disease you have, but hysteria. Chinziwan, everything requires evidence. Otherwise, it's just baseless slander." I didn't respond to him, but continued speaking on my own. A person impersonating me checked into a room under my name. Fingerprints at the exam site, saliva on the bottle opening, a hired test taker, transaction records, cheating devices. You two may not be good at studying, but you're geniuses at committing crimes. Our argument drew the attention of many medical staff. There began to be murmurs outside. Isn't it already a settled matter that Chen Ziwan cheated on the college entrance exam? Could there really be a twist? No way. The two friends of this cheater have treated her quite well. I think she's just feeling resentful and wants to drag them down with her. Ah, having such a friend is truly disheartening. With the support of outsiders, Lena felt much calmer. She crossed her arms in front of her chest. What evidence do you have? I have plenty of evidence. 9. Let me tell you all a story. The story begins 2 weeks ago when my best friend Lin Yaya told me that the exam venue was too far from home. So, she booked 2 rooms at a hotel near the venue so we could walk there in the morning. 2 days ago in the afternoon, we arrived at the hotel. While checking in at the front desk, I suddenly decided not to stay. So, I left on my own without registering my ID for check-in. About 10 minutes later, I went to an internet cafe and booked a computer for 2 days. There was a chorus of skepticism on the scene. Seriously, who would believe she went to an internet cafe to rent a computer during the college entrance exam? Exactly. It's a shame her best friend was so good to her. It's bad enough she didn't appreciate the kindness, but now she's making up stories and turning it around to blame her. I regret letting her be hospitalized. I laughed and said, because I've already been guaranteed admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. Originally, I signed up to experience the once-in-a-lifetime major exam, but that day I had a bad premonition, so I gave up on taking it. After all, whether I take the exam or not, the result is the same. I'll still be going to Tsinghua or Peking University. Everyone present fell silent. I continued speaking. I spent 2 days eating, drinking, sleeping, and using the restroom all in the internet cafe. When awake, I watched TV dramas and variety shows, and when tired, I slept without leaving the internet cafe for a moment, but strangely at a hotel 2 kilometers away. Another version of me checked into the hotel under my name, and over the next 2 days, even took 4 exams on my behalf. Of course, during this time, this version of me wasn't idle at all. She managed to sneak electronic devices past security checks into the exam hall, and left behind the water bottles I had drunk from, and the blank papers I had handled. And after she and her accomplices left the exam hall early, they used a virtual phone to report me for cheating in the exam. Right. Su Huene. The scene erupted in an uproar. What does this have to do with the man? I don't understand at all. What kind of nonsense story is she telling? Another her. Does she have some kind of clone technique? Su Huene showed not a hint of panic. Chen Ziwan, you've spun quite a tale, complete with a beginning, an end, and plenty of twists and turns. But where's the evidence? Anyone can make up stories without proof. Lena was furious, and she slapped me across the face. Chen Ziguan, I really wasted my kindness on you. You've even smeared dirty water on me. As soon as she finished speaking, the police pushed through the crowd and raised their identification. Little Red Flower has been found. Please come back to the station with us. All 3 of you. 10 in the interrogation room. Su Huene and Lin Yaya were emotionally agitated. What right do you have to bring us here? Do you know who my dad is? When I get out, I'll make sure you all regret this. The police officer remained firm. Don't get cocky. Take a look at the Little Red Flower first. The door opened, and a familiar figure shakily walked in. They both spoke in unison. Chinlu Huan. I sighed. Cousin. So it's you. Chinlu Huan knelt on the ground. Sister. I'm sorry, but I was forced to do it. But don't worry, sister. I will confess everything, and definitely clear your name. After speaking, Chinlu Huan stood up and pointed at Su Hin and Lin Yaya. It was the 2 of them who threatened me to take the exam for them. They gave me blank papers that my sister had touched in advance, and mineral water she had drunk. Chinluan, Su Huene glared fiercely. I know you, and Chen Ziwan are close sisters, and you want to clear her name. But falsely accusing us without evidence will land you in jail. What would your parents think of you if they found out? Shin Lan trembled all over, standing motionless without saying a word. Officers, you're all helping Chen Ziwan now. Are you doing something improper behind our backs? The 2 police officers immediately straightened their backs, biting back at the police. Ha! All right, then. I'll just show you the evidence. The police released surveillance footage from the 2 days of the college entrance exam. In the video, someone who looked just like me was taking the exam in the examination hall, wearing a shirt with a small red flower embroidered on the collar. Why are you looking at me? Isn't that Chinzi-won? I stepped forward to the screen. Lin Yuan. Did you forget? On our matching outfits, the positions of the little red flowers are perfectly symmetrical. The police enlarged the image again, revealing a pair of hands clearly covered with transparent film. Besides the draft with Kansas information where her fingerprints were detected, all the test papers were completely clean, leaving no fingerprints at all. That means the person who actually took the exam couldn't leave fingerprints on them. Shinluan and I are cousins, but we both take after our grandmother, so we look very much alike. So much so that people who don't know us well often mistake us for twin sisters, especially since Chunla-won also got the same student haircut as me and started wearing the same black framed glasses. Many facial details were concealed, making us look even more like we were cast from the same mold. That's why everyone believed the person in the video was the real Chinzi-ju. And Linya laughed. Then that only proves Chin-La-Huan wanted to harm you. What does that have to do with me? Just because I have this dress, does that make me an accomplice? If that's the case, there are plenty of people who want to harm you. Shin-La-Han's voice grew urgent. Sister, I didn't mean to harm you, to force me into hurting you. Those two beasts actually hired some thugs to assault me. Tears gushed from my eyes in an instant, and my breath caught in my throat. This is the real reason I can't understand it. Shin-Lan and I are as close as sisters, so I just can't understand why she would help Linya harm me. They even filmed a video threatening me that if I didn't take the exam for you, they'd make the video public and let everyone look down on me. You know, my dad, if he finds out about my scandal, he'll definitely kill me. Sister, I really have no other choice. The police officer at the scene clenched his fists so tightly they cracked. Linya wore an expression of complete detachment, impatiently tapping the table in front of her. Where's the evidence? Is this how cases are handled these days, based on emotions? Just cry a little, play the victim, and you can convict an innocent person. Should I cry, too, play the victim, and claim they're framing me? I slammed the table. Of course, I have evidence. 11. The police took out my phone and played back the recordings inside, segment by segment, the recordings of Lin Yaya and Su Huene communicating with the hitman. Threatening Chunlan echoed in the interrogation room. Approaching the college entrance exam, they often borrowed my phone to chat and make calls with the hitman without my knowledge, citing their parents' restrictions on phone usage, threatening my cousin, and then deleting the call and chat records. This way, their phones remained spotless, leaving not a single trace of their crime. But they didn't expect that I had inadvertently turned on the automatic call recording function, thus capturing their evil deeds. The door of the interrogation room opened again. Surveillance footage of the bank ATM transfer has been found. Half a month ago, accompanied by Su Huene, Lin made 3 separate transfers at the ATM, sending a total of 100,000 yuan to the robbers' bank card. The amount matched exactly what had been agreed upon over the phone. The officer continued presenting evidence, saying calmly, "Sirs, the internet cafe surveillance records have been recovered." Another officer assisted by bringing up the surveillance footage from 3 a.m. on June 7th. In the video, Su Huene appears in the internet cafe, and while I was asleep, stole my ID card, an admission ticket from my bag. The video then switches to the afternoon of June 8th, when Su Huene, taking advantage of the chaos, slipped those 2 items back into my backpack, perfectly creating a closed loop of evidence that I was not at the exam site yet did not miss the exam. It's not over yet. The shooter next door has turned state's evidence. He's accusing you too as the buyers now. Linya and Suhin finally couldn't stay calm anymore, their expressions turning flustered, but it quickly dissipated. Lena laughed. So, what do you even know who my dad is? I guarantee you won't just fail to handle me, but will end up shooting yourselves in the foot while the public is still unaware of the truth. Let's just go along with the mistake, so we don't even know how we died. The police's previous sense of righteousness had largely dissipated. My heart couldn't help but skip a beat. Linya's father has enough power in our city to suppress this matter. Another officer assisted by bringing up the surveillance footage from 3 a.m. on June 7th. As long as the police announce the result that everyone is happy to see, the whole country will celebrate, and some people might even send banners of appreciation to the police station. I looked at the ceiling with a sense of despair. Could it be that even after achieving this much in this life, I still can't save myself and my parents? The thought of them going through the same pain as in their past lives makes my heart ache. My despair probably satisfied Linya. She burst out laughing. Chenzigan, don't blame me for being ruthless. If you must blame someone, blame yourself for being too good at everything. My parents constantly talk about you in my ear, saying you're smart and well-behaved, destined to achieve great things, while I'm just a useless fool they look down on, not even worthy of a second glance. I've been thinking for a long time about how to bring you down from your pedestal and make you die in regret. I thought, and finally came up with the idea that you'd be caught cheating on the college entrance exam and be despised by the entire nation. That way, you'd never be mentioned by my parents again. Maybe then they'd think their daughter, though clumsy, isn't so disgraceful as to make them lose face. Fortunately, I had a backup plan. Otherwise, my 3-year scheme would have almost fallen through. Oh, by the way, Shinlon, you betrayed me, and I will make you pay double for it. Suhin also joined in the laughter. Looking back now, it was really so much fun, so thrilling. My eyes were filled with intense anger, and I wished I had a knife in my hand at that moment to personally take the lives of these two beasts. Shenlong slumped on the ground like a puddle of mud, his face covered with a look of despair. A few slapping sounds. The police clapped their hands in approval. Linya, your parents were right. You really are a useless fool. To be honest, from now on, the college entrance exam cheating case in our city will no longer be handled by our Nan City Police Department. It will be directly taken over by the Special Investigation Team from Jing City. Your generous statement just now will serve as strong evidence for sentencing. Now the look of death on Chenlin's face transferred to Lin Yaya. And Su Huene, the police officer, chuckled triumphantly. Remember one thing. Don't try to challenge justice and the law, because they may be late, but they will come. Half an hour later, the special task force came in. They thoroughly investigated the South City College entrance exam cheating case overnight. All the evidence is clearly laid out before our eyes, and the truth of the matter will soon be revealed to the public. Public opinion has taken a sudden turn. I told you a genius student like Zigjuan could never cheat. Yet, some people are blinded by a single leaf. Those who insulted Ziwen and her family should kneel down and apologize. The truth is truly chilling. A so-called best friend and boyfriend turned out to be the masterminds behind everything. I'm getting goosebumps. I formally demand that Lin Yaya and Su Huene, the two wrongdoers, be severely sentenced. The parents who had previously cursed our family lined up to come and apologize. I accepted their apologies, which were filled with remorse, with a smile on my face. But deep down, I felt completely unmoved. Those invisible knives stabbed deeply into our hearts, and even if pulled out, the holes they left could never be filled. Half a month later, the court announced its verdict. Lin Yaya and Su Huene were sentenced to 20 years in prison on multiple charges. As soon as the news broke, the internet was abuzz again. Everyone is praising the verdict, as if we have won a battle without smoke or fire. Meanwhile, I am on my way to the hospital with my cousin because she was unjustly implicated because of me. I will stay by her side until the day she overcomes her psychological trauma, and who knows how long it will take for that day to arrive. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see my sister can control what others hear in her thoughts. In my past life, under the manipulation of her inner voice, I was locked in a mental hospital by my family. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister came to our home. On the surface, she appeared innocent, but in her heart, she thought, is this the villain from the book who caused the company to go bankrupt, made Dad jump off a building, and almost killed my brother? I sneered coldly, then turned and dialed the National Security Hotline. I want to report that there's an otherworldly traveler in our family. 01. After being locked in a mental hospital for 10 years, I finally died. I died of depression when my consciousness returned. It was just in time for my brother and his girlfriend's engagement banquet. That is the day before Zhang Lily came to my house. Tomorrow, my father will bring back the orphan child of his comrade in arms, who will become the third child in our family. My sister in my previous life from the moment she arrived. My father, my brother, and everyone around me began to treat me drastically differently, with some even regarding me as a lifelong enemy. Yet, she always managed to effortlessly win the affection of all of them. Jealousy gradually drove me insane. I went all out to oppose Zhang Lily, but no matter what schemes and tricks I devised, they were always easily seen through by others. On the eve of the college entrance exam, on my 18th birthday, I beat up Zhang Lily, and then my own brother produced a medical diagnosis and had me locked up in a mental hospital until the day I died. I never saw any of them again. 02. On the evening of the engagement banquet, before we even got home, my dad answered a phone call and rushed off. The next afternoon, I woke up at the same time as in my previous life, just as my dad was walking through the front door with Zhang Lily. This was the same as in my previous life. The difference was that in my past life, Yin Yuang had left early in the morning for work and didn't return until very late that night. And today, I called my brother back by pretending to be sick, and along with him came his fiancée. 03 Yuang, you're home. 2. My father pulled Zhang Lai from behind him to the front of everyone. This is Zhang Lai, the daughter of my comrade in arms. She'll be staying with us for a while. In my previous life, I didn't pay attention to Zhang Lily's reaction when she first appeared. I truly thought she was just staying with us temporarily, so I didn't bother with her. I was in a hurry to go out and play, so I casually greeted her and ran off. Now, upon closer inspection, I realized that a child who had just lost both parents showed no trace of sadness on her face. Instead, she was staring at me, sizing me up. Is she really Uncle Zhang's child? The next second, a sweet voice rang out of thin air. Wow, is this the big villain from the original story who caused the company to go bankrupt, made Dad jump off a building, and almost killed my brother? 04. So, that's how it is. No one at the scene spoke. Both my dad and my brother showed shocked expressions, their gazes falling on Zhang Lily's face, and then they simultaneously looked at me. I suppressed the shock in my heart. In my previous life, I never heard her inner thoughts. I only felt that after she appeared, my father and brother began to drift away from me, and all my relatives and friends started to dislike me. So the truth was actually this ridiculous. Such an unbelievable thing happened, and not a single one of them chose to call the police. Instead, they seemed to sentence me to death based solely on one of her inner thoughts. It's like being forcibly made to look foolish. However, Zhang Lily probably doesn't know that in this lifetime, there's one more person who can hear her inner thoughts. Me 05. She looks so fierce. She really is the #1 villain in the original story. Am I going to die before even making it past 2 episodes? My brother and Dad are looking at me with increasing confusion. The next moment I stood in front of Zhang Lily, blocking her way, explained clearly, is she your comrade's daughter or your illegitimate child? My father glared at me. What nonsense are you talking about? She is your Uncle Zhang's daughter. Uncle Zhang even held you when you were little, since they're spreading rumors that I'm the villain. I'll play the part to the end and deliberately make a scene. How long is she going to stay at my house? 1 day? 2 days? I see you even brought luggage. You're not planning to stay here long term, are you? My dad's face completely darkened. He gently patted Zhang Lily's shoulder and said, Lily, go inside first. I'll explain things to your sister. I blocked Zhang Lily's way and said, wait, no one goes in until this is cleared up. Zhang Lily's inner voice sounded again. Oh no, oh no. Why does the villain seem even more ruthless than in the original story? Am I about to lose my life right now? My father and brother's gazes fell on me, and seeing this, she mustered the courage to persuade me to step aside. 06. In my previous life, my relationship with her wasn't particularly good. Not long after they got engaged, my brother saw her hugging and holding hands with another man. and insisted on breaking off the engagement, no matter how she tried to explain. But she was almost the only one who comforted me and bandaged my wounds when everyone else turned against me. So in this life, on the day of the engagement party, I took the initiative to ask for her contact information. And precisely because of this, when she found out I was sick, she came back with my brother. I deliberately called out, "Sister-in-law, I absolutely won't let any shady people into my home. Who knows what she's really up to?" The next second, as expected, Zhang Lily's sarcastic remark rang out. "Wow, is this the male lead's fiancé who cheated on him and almost helped her lover transfer his assets?" I was suddenly taken aback, glancing at my brother out of the corner of my eye. Sure enough, as if his intelligence had been lowered, he immediately cast a suspicious look at his fiancée. "I see. So, this is the truth behind their broken engagement." At this moment, a seed of doubt had already been planted in my brother's heart. So, no matter how Shiju explained, he wouldn't believe her. Is Zhang Lily's inner voice really that persuasive? 07. My father glanced at my brother, then looked at Shiju. His anger redirected, and his tone calmed down considerably. "Ting Nan, your Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhang had an accident. From now on, Zhang Lily will be living with us. It's very impolite of you to act this way." I let out an "oh" and said, "The way you put it, those who know might think she's the daughter of a comrade in arms. But those who don't might think she's your illegitimate child. Her parents are gone, but does that mean she has no other relatives or friends? Why does she have to live in our house?" My father, worried that my words might hurt Zhang Lily, quickly glanced at her nervously. As soon as Zhang Lily caught my father's glance, she immediately put on a look of holding back tears. My father immediately pointed inside the house with a furious expression. "Yuning Nan, get inside right now. You've gone too far today." I immediately sat down on the ground and started crying. After 10 years in a mental hospital, I've seen plenty of this kind of sudden, dramatic outburst. "You're yelling at me. If my mom were here, she would never let you yell at me. What kind of goddess is she? Did she put a spell on you? How could you yell at me for an outsider? If she were a goddess, she'd naturally protect her own parents first. What does that have to do with you?" I muttered to myself, hinting at something. "It's just that you've changed. She definitely isn't Uncle Zhang's daughter. I want my mom. I don't want you." 08. My sarcastic remark managed to provoke a slight return of their intelligence, and they looked at Zhang Lily with a hint of suspicion in their eyes. However, the moment they saw me throwing a tantrum, my brother couldn't hold back and slapped me on the head. "Ing Nan, you're 16, not 6. What's gotten into you?" I also want to know what's gotten into me. If only you weren't being swayed by her inner thoughts, I wouldn't have to go this far. Complaining aside, I still got up following the steps, but I deliberately continued to act angry and said, "Anyway, I don't like her. She looks like the kind of little white lotus who would talk behind people's backs, and she's definitely going to report me to you later." After hearing my words, my dad and my brother instinctively glanced at Zhang Lily at the same time. Their eyes filled with even more suspicion. Seeing that the timing was about right, I didn't continue the act any further, and pretended to storm off angrily back to my room out of the corner of my eye. I noticed my brother still tightly holding Shijaya's hand. I felt a bit relieved for the moment. It seemed that in this lifetime, their intelligence might still be salvageable. 09 Zhang Lily ended up staying at my house after all, and my dad even comforted her for a long time. After all, she was someone who could push me into the abyss with just a single thought. Her position wasn't so easily shaken. Early the next morning, when I went downstairs, everyone was already seated at the dining table, and a delicate cream cake was placed at my spot just as I reached the dining table. Zhang Lily cautiously said, "Sister Ting Nan, this is a small cake I made. I hope you like it." At the same time, that familiar voice echoed in my ears once again. "Ah, I hope the big villain will spare me after eating my little cake, so I can survive until the end. I just want to focus on my studies and not get involved in your company's internal conflicts without changing my expression." I pulled out the chair and sat down. "Great. Starting to cause trouble first thing in the morning. Your inner thoughts are even more precise than big data targeting. Every time you speak, you manage to hit exactly what both of them are thinking. My dad. And my brother's expressions indeed darkened a bit. Your sister got up early to make you a cake. Who are you giving that look to? My dad said in a displeased tone. In my previous life, it was the same words. I was just in a bad mood from waking up, and couldn't eat the cake, so I couldn't force a smile in response. And my dad accused me of sulking. It was from this small incident that I started to dislike the female lead in every way, constantly opposing her. In my previous life, after being scolded, my temper flared up without explaining. I threw a tantrum, slammed the dishes, and left the table alone. And now, smack, I flipped the cake upside down on the table. Who is her sister? 10. My father looked at me coldly. Yuning Nan. Apologize. I looked up at him, unable to hold back my sarcasm. Dad, my mom told me that when I was little, she raised me all by herself. You hardly ever even held me. So, you don't know that I'm lactose intolerant and can't eat any dairy products, right? I'm not sure if Zhang Lily made this cake on purpose, or if she accidentally stepped on my sore spot after all from her inner thoughts. It seems we are all in the world of a book, and she knows all the plot of this book since you say I'm the villain. How could we villains just take this lying down? My dad fell silent after I confronted him, and I immediately turned my spear toward Zhang Lily. Are you a servant in my house? Don't we have a housekeeper? Do we need you to get up early in the morning to make a cake? Zhang Li's little face turned deathly pale, tears instantly welling up in her eyes. Zhang Lily is very beautiful, and when she cries, she looks like a pear blossom bathed in rain. Truly pitiful and heart-wrenching. I imagine any man would be moved by her. I'm sorry, I thought you might not like me, so I made a cake while Sly criticizing me. She was also complaining inwardly. Oh no, why did I make her angry again? Is she really the number one villain? So moody and unpredictable, since you know I'm the big villain. Why are you so eager to come to my house? I sneered. What is Uncle Zhang treating you so poorly? The Zhang family is quite wealthy after all. Why do you act so petty? Are you really Uncle Zhang's daughter? Zhang Lily felt a bit guilty for my words, and instinctively placed her hands under the table, looking at my brother Yun Yufang as if pleading for help. I really didn't know you couldn't eat cake. I like making desserts. Woo. Brother, save me. You're the male lead in the original story. Only you can keep her in check. Yun Yufang, under the heroine's pleading gaze, immediately felt the urge to play the hero and rescue the damsel in distress. All right, Yuning Nan, you've been in a bad mood since you woke up this morning. Is it ever going to end? Shell didn't do it on purpose. If you can't eat it, just don't eat it. Is there any need to lash out at everyone here? It's like you think the whole world owes you something. I turned around to face Yin Yufang and waited for him to finish scolding before speaking up. So, you're going to lecture me for her sake? Too, Yuang. I'm just calling it as I see it. I curled my lips into a smile, didn't argue further, and stood up to walk out of the living room. 11. Zhang Lily transferred to my school and was in the same class as me. I don't know how my dad managed it, but the next day, she went to school with me just like in my previous life. However, in my previous life, I didn't wait for her, but now, of course, I couldn't leave her alone with my dad and brother, so I took the initiative to suggest taking her to school together. Zhang Lily seemed quite startled by my proactive concern and quickly looked at my dad. Uncle, please don't. She's the big villain. She's definitely going to attack me. Woo. I don't want to die yet. Whether I had inadvertently awakened my dad's conscience or he had remembered my mom this time, he didn't completely side with the female lead. Instead, he warned me not to bully my sister and allowed me to take Zhang Lily out with me. In my previous life, his attitude toward me had drastically changed after the female lead arrived. As if I weren't his child at all. It seems that so far in this life, he hasn't been influenced by the female lead's inner thoughts. I felt a bit more at ease. There's still room for everything to be set right. Zhang Lily followed me cautiously to the school, much quieter along the way. Not a single thought of hers was heard. It truly was a precise delivery. After arriving at school, as soon as I entered the classroom, I ran into Zhang Yan, the top student in our grade 12. I am a poor student with a wide range of hobbies, but I have absolutely no interest in studying. My dad cares a lot about face, so he got me into the best class at school. Zhang Yan not only consistently holds the top spot in the grade, but he's also the school heartthrob in the class monitor of our class. As soon as he saw me enter the classroom, he asked me for the homework. What homework do I even have? Just as I was about to brush it off like before, the female lead complained again. Yan, is this the guy Yuning Nan liked in the original story? But after rejecting Yuning Nan, he was assaulted by people she hired. Both Shan Yan and I were stunned. 13. Heaven knows in my past life, I never had much interaction with him. Not only did I not like him, but I also found him quite annoying, always wearing a face as if everyone owed him millions. Now that I think about it, it seems he can also hear Zhang Lai's inner thoughts. No wonder he can't be happy with me. Zhang Lai still felt she hadn't said enough, and continued her inner monologue. Yunting Nan is still looking at him. Oh no, has she already taken a liking to him? How can I remind Yen to be careful? I clench my fists, really wanting to give her a punch. Now you know to call me Yunting Nan. At home, you keep calling me the villain. If you had just kept calling me the big villain instead of using my name, I wouldn't be this embarrassed. I silently took 2 steps back, taking in the expressions on both their faces. 14. I may not be a good person, but I'm not so bad that just because he doesn't like me, I'd go and have someone force him. Right. At worst, I'd just force him myself. What nonsense. Original story. It makes no sense at all. I forgot to write it. I directly reached out and casually pulled 2 homework assignments from his hand. Give me 10 minutes. I'll copy them and hand them in. Under the weight of 2 probing gazes, I walked toward the spot I remembered. 15. Zhang Li's arrival quickly won the affection of almost all the boys in the class except for Zhang Yan. In my past life, I remember Yan was also quite good to Zhang Lai, and there seemed to be some romantic feelings between them. However, in this life, perhaps because I kept bothering him from time to time, he always wanted to run away whenever he saw me. And Zhang Lili, I can't be blamed for this. My grades are really too poor, and he is the smartest in the whole class. Even though I know he doesn't like me, I still have to grit my teeth and ask him for advice. Didn't Zhang Lili keep telling everyone through her inner voice that she just wanted to study hard? How could I possibly lose to her? Whenever I saw her going to Zhang Yan for advice, would always squeeze in at the first moment, push her aside, and ask the questions myself every time. She still puts on a pitiful face on the surface, pretending not to compete with me, but in reality, she's constantly complaining about me behind my back. If I were Zhang Yan, I'd probably be fed up with both of us, too. And so, I no longer spent every day fighting with the female lead like I did in my past life. Nor did I deliberately throw tantrums at home to get their attention. Instead, I focused on studying seriously every day, occasionally exchanging a few sharp words with the female lead. However, I was straightforward about it, while she subtly mocked me, more than once, mentioning in her inner thoughts just how cruel the original version of me was, all while putting on the act of a bullied, innocent flower in front of everyone. My father watched us 2 fighting, not taking sides like he did in my previous life. My brother, on the other hand, always stepped in to mediate, though he mostly scolded me. I don't know if Zhang Yan was moved by my dedicated attitude towards studying, but he didn't seem to reject me as much as he did at the beginning. And there was no sign of his admiration for Zhang Lili anymore. Just when I thought the plot was slowly deviating from its original course, and that one day they would all return to normal, reality slapped me hard in the face. 16. That evening, my father came home unusually early. In my previous life, I wasn't home on this day, but I clearly remember that it was after this period that my father's attitude toward me completely hit rock bottom to the point where he almost couldn't stand the sight of me. The reason I remember it so clearly is that a major event happened abroad on this day. 2 countries suddenly went to war, and social media platforms repeatedly crashed under the strain. The moment the hashtags flooded social media, my father suddenly stood up excitedly, his eyes lighting up with ecstatic joy, like a fervent fan watching their favorite player score a goal. I have an inexplicably bad feeling. Sure enough, the next second, Zhang Lili walked in from outside holding a book. As she headed toward the second-floor bedroom, She suddenly glanced back at the news on the TV. Oh, I almost forgot. Today, Country A and Country B went to war. If we had stocked up on gold earlier, we would definitely be making a huge profit now. And that person who came to see Uncle about investment a few days ago, his company will go public in the future and become a household name. Now is the best time to invest. I looked at my father in shock and noticed that the wild excitement in his eyes had slowly faded, replaced by a burning gaze fixed on Zhang Lili. Come here, Shaoli. My dad warmly called Zhang Lai over. What's up, Uncle? Are you free tomorrow? Could you accompany me to the company? But I have school tomorrow. I'll give you half a day off to accompany your uncle to the company first. You're not a child anymore. It's time for you to get some experience at the company. My father hinted. Don't worry. Your father has entrusted you to me. From now on, you are my daughter in Yunbao country, and you will have a share of everything in the Yun family. I couldn't believe it. Dad, what are you saying? My father looked up at me, his eyes filled with the coldness and annoyance I knew all too well from my past life. Yuning Nan, why are you running around instead of doing your homework? Get back to your room. I felt as if I had fallen into an icy abyss. At this moment, I finally understood that it wasn't Zhang Lili's inner voice controlling him, but rather that he had chosen Zhang Lai over me out of jealousy and resentment. I felt that the female lead had taken everything from me, which is why I targeted Zhang Lili. So why did my father cherish Zhang Lili while harboring hatred for me? His own daughter? Obviously. It's all because of the word benefit. 17. An outsider who can bring him immense benefits is naturally hundreds of times better than me. His biological daughter who might one day cause him to jump off a building. No. I may have never been important to him from the very beginning. Otherwise, why would he have been completely preoccupied with work and never taken care of me personally after I was born? Everything is predestined. It's truly ironic. I naively believed that as long as I made them doubt the content of Zhang Lili's heartfelt confession, they would revert to being the caring family members they once were. Little did I know that it was never a matter of him being bewitched. It was all his own choice. Since that's the case, then you can just stay locked together. No one should even think of touching what belongs to me. Even the kingdom of Yunbao is no exception. 18. Since they enjoy stirring up trouble using inner thoughts so much, how could I let such a great opportunity slip by? My family runs a family business in my past life. The female Li was able to live so smoothly and eventually gain a voice in the company, which was also related to my father's younger brother. In Bahua, it's about time for my uncle to make his appearance. My dad's birthday is coming up soon, and on this day, my uncle came to our house to discuss the arrangements for inviting guests with my dad. In my previous life, when my uncle came, he even brought me a gift. However, after meeting my dad and Zhang Lili, he gave me a cold look, and after returning home, he started arguing with my aunt about getting a divorce. This time was the same. My uncle came to our house with gifts, and my dad took Zhang Lili and him into the study to discuss things. The difference was that this time after they went in, I hid in the next room to eavesdrop. The soundproofing in the room was excellent, but Zhang Lili's inner thoughts were only limited by distance, not by spatial barriers. I've tested it. As long as I'm within a 5m range, I can clearly hear her inner thoughts. Not long after Zhang Lili entered the room, her inner monologue came through. Yun Bahua, isn't that the one in the original story whose wife cheated on him, and who was then framed by Yuning Nan, and his wife, ending up with nothing? Ah, this uncle's head is practically a vast green pasture. Your wife and your assistant have been sleeping together for years. How have you not noticed at all? TSK 19. All right. I'm everywhere. Where on earth did this original work come from? Should I not help the uncle who has been giving me gifts since I was a child, but instead help the aunt who cheated? Is no one suspicious of such an obvious issue? I've barely spoken a few words with that aunt, and she's never liked me. Am I crazy? Helping her. Not long after, my uncle stormed out angrily. I hid inside the house, quietly picked up the miniature camera I always carried with me, captured a clear shot of his furious face, and only then returned to my own bedroom. Since you all believe I would help my aunt, wouldn't it be a disservice to my persona if I didn't follow through? 20. That very day, my uncle indeed went back to catch them in the act. Remember, in my past life, their divorce lawsuit dragged on for a long time, and in the end, my aunt still had to split a portion of the property before they could finally get divorced. From this, it's clear that my aunt is really not a woman to be trifled with. This time, my uncle is bound to run into a brick wall because I immediately turned around and called my aunt, "Auntie, someone told Uncle that you're having an affair with his assistant." Uncle just stormed out of my house in a rage. 21. That evening, my aunt came to our door with my uncle, who had a bruised and swollen face. When they arrived, Zhang Lily was doing her homework in the living room, and my dad was watching the news nearby. When the doorbell rang, my dad asked Zhang Lily to answer it. She skipped to the door, a charming smile still on her face. However, as soon as the door opened, a loud slap landed on her cheek. "You little, are you the one spreading rumors that I'm cheating?" Zhang Lily was slapped so hard that she fell to the ground, her cheek instantly turning red. Trembling, she covered her face and slowly looked up, tears welling in her eyes. "I didn't. I said nothing." My father helped Zhang Lily up and shielded her behind him. "Cairo, what are you doing?" My aunt had one hand twisting my uncle's ear while the other pointed at my dad's nose. "Is she your illegitimate child? Why are you protecting her so much?" My dad's face turned as dark as could be, but he still cared about his so-called dignity and didn't want to confront my aunt directly. He only said to my uncle Yun Bahua being controlled by a woman, "What kind of man are you?" My aunt sneered mockingly. "What nonsense are you spouting? Do you think everyone is like your wife, who doesn't even fight back when bullied? What kind of man is Yun Bahua? Aren't you two brothers the same? Both of you climbed up by stepping on women. You're just better at pretending. Don't think that just because your wife is dead, no one remembers your dirty deeds. Spreading rumors about me. Do you have a death wish?" Zhang Lily hid behind my father, trembling while still managing to add fuel to the fire in her mind. No wonder she can get along with the big villain. She's really no good person either. "Oh no. Will Uncle push me out to take the blame?" Woo. Woo. I really didn't say anything. No, Uncle definitely wouldn't do that. He's such a good person. I have to trust him. You really have PUA down to a science. After all, Zhang Lily genuinely helped my father make money. I heard that in this round of trading gold futures, my father earned at least 10 small targets. How could such a small matter make him lose trust in Zhang Lily? In the end, under my father's protection, my aunt couldn't do anything to her. She just cursed my father out and then kicked my uncle as they left. She never mentioned my name until the very end. My aunt really is reliable. Not only that, but she also gave me a big gift. Yambio. How exactly did my mother die? 22. When I was 5 years old, my mother passed away from an illness, which is something I remember. After that, I lived with my grandparents. My grandparents were quite indulgent with me, which fostered my unruly and lawless personality. It wasn't until I was in the 3rd grade of elementary school that my father took me to live with him. I always believed my mother's death was an accident, and never had any doubts about it. However, after that day, I went back to my maternal grandparents' house, and only then did I realize that all of this was not an accident. My paternal grandparents would not tell me the truth because it was during my mother's postpartum confinement after giving birth to me that she discovered my father's affair, and that he was keeping another woman outside. My mother was overwhelmed with anger coupled with postpartum depression, and her health had never been good since then, which is how the root of her illness was laid. Although my father claimed to have ended his relationship with the woman outside, he always used work as an excuse to neglect my mother. At that time, his company was already on track and no longer needed my mother. In fact, he wished for her death so he could seize the shares she held. Not only that, but my maternal grandparents also told me something. Before her death, my mother made a will stipulating that the 30% of shares she held would be inherited entirely by me after her passing, with a specific note that they could not be inherited by anyone else. She left the real estate and vehicles under her name to my brother. Everyone in my family knows about this will except for me. My mother even had the will notarized. However, the whereabouts of this will have never been found. So I still haven't inherited the estate to this day. Over the years, Every time I mentioned going back to my grandfather's house to visit, my father always came with me. I originally thought he was worried about me, but now it seems he wasn't worried about me, but rather that I knew about the existence of this. Well, no wonder. In my memory, after my dad brought me back, he repeatedly asked me if my mom had given me anything special. Probably during those years when I was left at my grandma's house. He was searching for that will, but since he couldn't find it, he brought me back. 23 on my dad's birthday. I came back. No one knows I've been at my grandfather's house these past few days. Right now, his heart and eyes are completely filled with Jang Lily. So, how could he possibly notice whether I'm staying at home or not? That day, Shijua, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, also came looking quite haggard. The moment I saw her, and my brother appear, my heart suddenly skipped a beat, as if I sensed something. So, I took the initiative to pull Shiju aside for a chat. As expected, my concerns have come true. 24, my father willingly allowed himself to be used by Jang Lily's inner voice for the sake of personal gain. What about my brother? Then, was it really because he saw Shijio seemingly cheating that he wanted to end the marriage? Clearly not. Nan, have you noticed recently? Shijao seemed a bit hesitant to speak up, and only after my encouragement did she whisper, "Has there been any other woman around your brother?" I remained calm. What's wrong? I feel like your brother has become a different person. It's hard to describe, but he's not as attentive to me as before. I even suspect that he doesn't love me at all. Besides your intuition, I press further. Did anything specific happen that made you feel he was acting strangely? Shiju said, "Remember when we went shopping together and ran into an old classmate of mine? I complained to you about him. He had a crush on me back in school, but I didn't like him, and you even warned me to stay away from him. One day, I noticed your brother looking at my phone. When I walked over to check, it was a message from that same person inviting me to a class reunion. Knowing your brother, I expected him to get angry, but he showed no reaction at all when he saw the message. I said I wouldn't go, but he actually encouraged me to attend. In the end, when I made it clear I wasn't going, he suddenly got upset, left without finishing dinner, and stormed off. It seems he completely believed Jang Lily's words, and believed that Shiju would cheat on him. However, her next words changed my perspective. 25, and a few days ago, I went to your house to find him. I wanted to hold his hand and have him accompany me to go shopping, but he reacted strongly and pushed me away. Shijaya was quite shocked. At home, why would he have such a big reaction? I looked toward my brother in disbelief. Was there anyone else at my house that day? Shu shook her head. No, it was only your sister doing her homework. So I just held his hand. Just at that moment, I looked up and saw my brother gently wiping the food residue from Jang Lily's face. So, it wasn't about being bewitched by Jang Lily's inner thoughts at all. From start to finish, he was just a lust-driven scumbag. Come to think of it, facing Jang Lily, who is stunningly beautiful and can foresee the future, with her doe eyes, always looking at him tearfully while constantly expressing admiration and worship in her heart. How could he not be moved? He's just a scumbag, the same kind as Dad. Why is it that everyone in our family is no good, and I'm the only one who's the big villain in Jang Li's eyes? You all want to step on me to get ahead. Keep dreaming. 26. I didn't try to persuade Shijeo again. All I could do was help her avoid the sharp blade of the prophecy in Jang Lily's words. But I couldn't control my brother from changing his heart toward her. The final choice still had to be made by her herself. I just hinted at my brother's unusual attitude toward Jang Lily. Not long after, Shijio took the initiative to tell me that she was preparing to break off the engagement with my brother. I found out the exact time of their visit and made preparations in advance. 27 on the day of the annulment. Shiju came with her parents. According to custom, the gifts given at the engagement had to be returned. After all, there were still business dealings between the families. Although Shijay's parents didn't look too pleased with my brother or Jang Lily, they were more tactful when speaking to my father, simply saying that their personalities didn't quite match after getting to know each other. Just as the discussion between the two sides was nearing its end, Jang Lily's troublesome relatives arrived. Naturally, I was the one who invited them when he ate. I've been wondering why Jang Lily, knowing I'm the main villain, still chose to leave with my father. Upon checking, I realized that at most I'm just a brainless villain from a third-rate romance novel, while her relatives are all top-tier drama queens from primetime family dramas, each with maxed-out fighting skills. And my father, a man driven solely by profit, why would he be willing to bring such trouble home? Naturally, it's because Jiang Lily's parents left her a substantial inheritance upon learning of Uncle Jiang's death. That bunch of Jiang family relatives had been eagerly preparing to fight over the inheritance. Without my father's protection, Jiang Lily would have long been devoured by those relatives in my previous life. They never showed up even after I was locked away in a mental hospital. I don't know if it was because my father and the others had intervened, or if they only came after I was gone. When these despicable relatives learned the inside story, I deliberately leaked that the Jiang family had adopted Jiang Lily solely to cultivate her relationship with Yan Yuang in order to swallow up all of the Jiang family's assets, and then witnessed with their own eyes Yin Yuang breaking off his engagement with his fiancée. How could they not believe it? Not only did they believe it, but even Uncle Shi and Auntie believed it. For a while, our family was quite lively. In the end, it was only when the police arrived that my dad and the others were successfully rescued. My dad, who always values etiquette the most, was pulled and dragged to the point of utter disarray. Jiang Lily clearly hadn't anticipated such a scene. How could her delicate jade-like body, as tender as a young branch, withstand the torment of these people? Pinched until she was covered in red and purple bruises, she cried even more genuinely and heart-wrenchingly than when her aunt had beaten her that day. The farce came to a temporary halt when my father swore in front of the Jiang family that he had no ulterior motives in adopting Jiang Lily, and that Yan Yuang could never have any improper feelings for her. But this was far from enough. 29, in the 10 years at the psychiatric hospital, I believe it wasn't just the end of my previous life. If I let Jiang Lily continue to stay in my home in this life, then by the time my father truly becomes the richest man with her help, my fate will certainly be no better than in my previous life. So I must win. Under my instigation, the Jiang family began a months-long battle over the inheritance. In the end, the court redistributed the assets left by Uncle Jiang according to the inheritance law. Every dog in the Jiang family with the surname Jiang managed to get a share of the pie. Jiang Lily's assets have shrunk significantly. Apart from her appearance, what she can offer my brother now is completely incomparable to Shiju. As for the ability to foresee the future, everything is controlled by my father, and he can only pick up the scraps left behind. Without the support of the Shea family, his position in the group is not as comfortable as before. In his previous life, after breaking off the engagement with Shi Zhao, he probably had his eye on Jiang Lai's wealth, which allowed him to remain calm and plan things out step by step. In this lifetime, I have already stripped away a significant portion of his hidden cards, and he has clearly become much more flustered. He has also started to inquire both openly and covertly about whether my mother left me anything special. I really want to tell him. Do you think there will still be a place for you in the group when you find that special thing? 30. I have never been able to find the will my mother left behind, so I have remained inactive, spending my days collecting the occasional inner thoughts revealed by the female lead, and focusing on dealing with the upcoming college entrance exam. Over these 3 years, aside from competing with the female lead, I have never slacked off in my studies for a single day. After all, I've already died once. How could the hardship of studying compare to the 10 years I was treated as mentally ill? I cherish the second chance deeply. Jiang Yan has gone from being wary of me at first to now being able to completely let down his guard around me. I never expected that. Upon being reborn, I would discover that the one who could break free from the plot's control was actually an outsider with no blood relation to me. As expected, the person who can be the top student in the grade really has a sharp mind. I never expected this special thing to come so unexpectedly. Yet, it made perfect sense. 31 on my 18th birthday, which also happened to be the last holiday before the college entrance exam. After today, I would return to school tomorrow to check the exam venue, and the day after would be the exam itself. This time, I chose to go back to my grandmother's house. The Yun family had long since had no place for me. Yin Yuang, truly lived up to being the male lead character that Zhang Lili had described. After breaking off the engagement with the Shea family, he laid low within the group for a while, relying on the female lead's inner thoughts and his own abilities. He successfully secured several major projects, firmly establishing his position. At the same time, the look in his eyes when he gazed at Zhang Lili grew even more intense. After all, who wouldn't like a prophet who could bring them wealth and status? Their minds were completely focused on Zhang Lili. So, naturally, they forgot my birthday. Just like in my previous life. In my previous life, the reason I completely lost my mind and attacked Zhang Lili without warning, leading to my forced admission to a mental hospital, was precisely because on my birthday, I was filled with hope that my father and brother would remember me once again. However, not only did none of them realize it was my birthday, but they also took Zhang Lili out alone to pray and wish her success in the college entrance examination. This time, they didn't take me along either in their minds. Perhaps a poor student like me shouldn't even have the right to take the college entrance exam 32 for these 3 years to keep them from noticing anything unusual. I performed consistently in every exam, always ranking at the bottom of my grade. No one knew my secret except for Yen. When Yen asked me, I only gave him one sentence in reply: those who are not of our kind must have different hearts. 33. Zhang Yen is a genius. He only needed a hint for me to understand my meaning. While he diligently tutored me, he also acted alongside me, always scolding me for how foolish I was. As for Zhang Lili, she probably has too much confidence in her own abilities. She hasn't suspected me to this day. Her mind and eyes filled only with Yin Yufeng. After all, she is the protagonist with a golden finger. 34. After arriving at my grandmother's house, she prepared a whole table of delicious food for me. They spent a happy birthday with me. Even though they knew I wasn't good at studying, they still reminded me not to be nervous during the exam, not to hand in a blank paper, and to answer the questions properly while eating. I received a strange phone call from someone claiming to have been entrusted by my late mother to give me a gift. I have a feeling that this must be the will. However, upon arriving, I discovered that besides the will, there was also a complete set of priceless jewelry. Yuning Nan, I am a close friend of your mother. She entrusted me to personally deliver this coming-of-age gift to you, saying it was prepared in advance as your dowry. I was already in tears. It turns out my mother's love has never left me to ensure this precious gift could reach me and fulfill its value. My mother had already planned everything for me. If it weren't for the appearance of Zhang Lili, I would have grown up healthfully under my mother's protection and eventually become a responsible adult. 35. I remember now, on this day in my previous life, they went to the temple to pray for blessings but returned early. Thinking back now, in my previous life, I didn't know about the existence of this will in advance, nor did I return to my grandmother's house. Uncle Gu went to my house looking for me, but at that time I was blinded by jealousy, almost driven to madness, and was solely focused on planning how to take revenge on Zhang Lili. When he arrived home and didn't see me, he ran into my dad and the others, or perhaps during the process of praying for blessings, Zhang Lili revealed something to them, which is why this will never made it into my hands. In other words, even if I hadn't taken action against Zhang Lili, my brother would likely have wanted to get rid of me. After all, we are both children of our mother. Why would she leave all the important shares to me alone? But now, everything is about to change as expected. Zhang Lili should have been taken away by the inspectors from the National Security Bureau by now. 36. Regardless of whether this will appears tonight or not, I have already decided to take action against Zhang Lili, since you keep saying all you want is to study well. How could I possibly let you get your wish and take the college entrance exam? After all, I am the notorious villain you always talk about. 37. For the past 3 years, I've been carrying a miniature camera, recording every time Zhang Lili spoke her mind, and capturing the reactions of everyone present. Everything she said has also been documented by me according to the timeline. An entire notebook was filled with records. If it were just me alone, it certainly wouldn't count as evidence. But what about Zhang Yan? 38. That very night, Zhang Yan and I were summoned, and along with us went Yin Baoa and Yin Yuang. However, the latter two had no idea what was going on. The people from the National Security Agency borrowed the identity of the police, claiming that Zhang Lili was involved in a murder case and needed to be taken in for investigation. Considering that they were still minors, they were allowed to have the two of them accompany them. They just didn't know that Zhang Yan and I were in the interrogation room, next to theirs, separated on the left and right. There were staff members monitoring Zhang Yan, and me with Yin Baoa and Yin Yufang present. Zhang Lili's inner thoughts naturally wouldn't be few. During the interrogation, she answered the interrogators' questions while continuously sending messages to them in her mind. Both Zhang Yan and I had a pen and a piece of paper in front of us, and we would record every inner thought we heard. Half an hour later, the staff took the notes we had recorded and walked out without a doubt. The answers were almost identical copies. The content in Zhang Li's inner voice also included complaints about the staff of the National Security Bureau, which neither Zhang Yan nor I could have known in advance. Therefore, this record serves as evidence that Zhang Li is a person with supernatural abilities. 39. When Zhang Li was handcuffed and taken away, Yin Baoa and Yin Yufang were completely stunned, even obstructing the staff from performing their duties. Regardless of the occasion, when Zhang Yan and I went out, we happened to see Zhang Lili tearfully pleading for help from the two of them. At the same time, she could no longer control her inner voice, hysterically saying, "Impossible. I'm a transmigrator. I'm the protagonist of this world system. Come out. Why is this happening? How could they be from the National Security Bureau?" I watched their little drama coldly, and only when Zhang Li noticed me did I speak up. "Dad, brother, stop pretending. Can't you hear her thoughts? 2. You've known all along that she's not the real Zhang Lili. So, what's the point of acting now? All these years, thanks to her, you've made more than enough money, haven't you?" 40. Zhang Lili understood everything perfectly well by then, looking at me with a terrified expression. "Impossible. How could you hear that?" Seeing that the situation was now beyond his control, Yinba no longer thought about saving the female lead, and just stubbornly said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Yin Yuyuang also reacted. "I don't understand what you mean." A beautiful pair of silver handcuffs suddenly snapped onto their wrists. "Both of you. You are suspected of harboring terrorists from another world and profiting from it. Please come with me as well. Did you really think I spent 3 years playing along with you for fun? That record and your reactions today have long since given you away." I looked at them coldly, no longer wanting to say another word. 41. After Yin Baoa and Yin Yuang were taken away for investigation, I produced the will and inherited 30% of the group's shares. With my support, combined with my uncle's existing 5% stake, we became the party with the largest shareholding in the group at present. My uncle took over the Yin Group and is temporarily in charge of management. The company was originally established with my mother's investment, so it's only natural for it to return to our family. Now, the verdict was soon delivered due to the highly confidential nature of the truth. It was not made public, and only Zhang Yan and I, the two parties involved, were aware of it. 42. Yin Baoa and Yin Yuang were convicted of harboring spies and sent to prison. As for Zhang Li, their explanation was quite vague. I suspect she was probably taken away for some kind of experimental research, and I, having been admitted to a good school, began a university experience I never had in my previous life. Everything finally returned to normal after hearing the second story above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section.